Hey everybody, welcome back to CALLOUS Invitational 6 Round 1 action. Missed this one live as well. Like I said, slept in, no regrets, but was told it's a good one. Can't wait to check it out. Going in completely blind, other than being told that it was a good one. It is Umbry and Kerts in Round 1 action. You guys believe that Kerts is the favorite here pretty heavily. According to our predictions, he is a beloved fan favorite. I'm a big Umbry fan. I really am a big believer. I was very impressed by her SPL run a couple years ago, and just in general, whether it's doubles or SM or DPP, I just think she's a really solid Pokemon player. I really like her game when I watch her play. But who knows? Maybe Kurtz takes her to school here. Like I said, totally blind, don't know who wins, don't know anything about the games, but I'm looking forward to watching them just as you are. So let's see how it plays out. Kurtz and Umbry, round 1 action. CALLOUS Invitational 6. Kurtz bottom side, Umbry top side, T-Tar and Suicune respectively. So something interesting about this matchup. Kurtz notoriously plays two types of teams, lots and lots and lots. Spike Stacks teams, usually with Jolteon, sometimes Cloyster, sometimes Scum, but Spike Stack as in general, and like Fizz offenses with like Rhydon in particular is a Kurtz signature mon, and Gyarados is a poke that he likes a lot. That's kind of the Kurtz MO. Umbry, on the other hand, notoriously, reputation, stall and only stall. Could be Skarm stall, could be Coon stall, whatever, but it's always stall. That's the reputation for both players. Whether or not they stick with that today, whether or not they deviate, I don't know, but that is what most of us, probably including the players themselves, are expecting in this moment. It looks like Kurtz may have something different for once, which is great to see. Whereas Umbry, on the other hand, it's hard to say, but Koondall usually looks pretty stally. And there's a Flygon, so it could be like a weird Magdoll, but it looks pretty stally, which is the usual for Umbry. She managed to kill the Zapdos early on here, and, well, a crit is certainly going to help when you're behind a substitute, so she's managing to snowball her lead as well. I don't know how Breloom is the answer to Flygon. That's pretty awkward. I guess there's nothing even remotely resembling a bulky water for Kerts. There's hidden power. What is going on in this game? Kerts is getting demolished. Did we just forget about Flygon in the team builder? Mach Punch and die. That's the play. What is this team for Kerts? Man, Flygon apparently is a nightmare, and here comes Wheezing for Umbry. This matchup seems like a nightmare too. Wheezing is a massive counter to the fighting type, and apparently Kurtz has rolled up with Double Fighter in Breloom and Heracross. This game 1 is a massacre. I don't know if, like, future game or hypothetically 2 is really good, really close, or if people were just trolling me when they said that it's a good one, but this one's a beating. This one is not even close. Man, I mean, Umbry just rolled up with normal, boring, stally, normal plus Wheezing, but, like, there's nothing too special here. Just fat, generic, defensive team. Kurtz apparently brought a team that forgot the flying type exists and forgot that levitate Pokemon exist. When your team just loses to Flygon, that's, something's wrong. Ooh, we're seeing a reverse Heracross sweep here. He's got the dance boost, and he's got lefties, so he's not going to die to sand. Nah, faster Flygon. Okay, well, if this series gets good, it's certainly not in Game 1. Kurtz's team looked like a train wreck, couldn't handle Flygon at all. Umbry got ahead, stayed ahead, and this was a one-sided beatdown. Hoping for a better Game 2. And here is Game 2. Kurtz is on the bottom, needs to win 2 in a row in order to start his tour off in the upper bracket. Umbry's on the top. They both have standard T-Tar leads, but Umbry swings and misses with EQ as Skarm comes in. Switches it up to Focus Punch as spikes come down. Good chunk, 40%, and going to try to do it again. Kurtz doesn't disrupt it with Drill Peck, which he could still have, but he does protect to get some lefties. Now Focus Punch, of course, coming down again. And it's going to be Swampert taking it. That takes 36% and also has lefties. And now Umbry to her own Skarm, eating a Hydro Pump, which somehow does less than Focus Punch on the way in, 35%. Well, that does more than Focus Punch. There's a crit Hydro Pump. Umbry did get spikes down, but Skarm critically low. and over-predicts Toxic, trying to get Pert on the way out, but instead Gengar comes in. Good play for Kerts. And Umbry, as per usual, with generic stall, it is Skarnbliss Tar, about as plain Jane and standard for ADV as you get. Kerts seemingly switching back to Old Faithful here. I bet you it's a Jolt Spike stack of some kind. And Blissy's singing does not lull T-Tar to sleep in this instance. Wow, balls on Umbry there, which, well, you know, woman, so probably not, but balls on Umbry there to go for Sing into the T-Tar who focus punches there. Blissey would have gotten rocked had that connected. But unfortunately, well, or fortunately, depending on who you're rooting for, Sing does connect with Tar to prevent that focus punch, but man, that could have gone very badly had that gone the other way. That was a high variance turn. Sing with the basically coin flippy accuracy there. If you connect with Tar, you shut it down, which is huge, especially if it doesn't wake up for a while. If you miss, man, Blissey takes it in the, whatever, the boob. Because again, no balls, because woman. That was a high variance turn, but Umbry got there with the Sing. I can't believe she stayed in, though. What a risky play. So now that leaves us in a state, I think Kerts looks pretty good in this game. Well, Claydol may change things, but gets immediately roared out. There is a Gar on the other side to block a spin, but as a whole, Kerts is up him on. He's got the 3-1 spikes advantage. And there's a focus punch. Kerts down to 37%. 14 now, and a flinch. Does that put him in EQ range? Looks like just short, 5%. And then Torrent Hydro Pump with retaliation. So Umbry really behind now. Meta gonna have to try to get there. Maybe an Agilogross can work some magic here. I don't know if I like the Protect. That might have enabled Umbry to free agility there, which I'm not personally a fan of. And now Zapdos in for Kerts, which might be in the Zapdos quote-quote slot. Though it could still be a Zapdos as the last poke. The last spot is always up for grabs here on the Kerts team. Could be Offstar, could be Metagross, could be Jolteon, could be Arrow. Meteor Mesh would not have done a ton there to Zapdos, even if it had connected, but he does miss. Kerts looking pretty good to send us to a third game here. Umbry gonna really have to get there. She's fishing for attack raises right now, which thus far have not come. Thunderbolt again, running out of opportunities. And the attack raise there wouldn't even matter anymore. Would have needed a raise previously and then agility on that turn or something to that effect. But we know it's not Agilogross. It's a Protect meta. So agility was never really an option here. And wow, snipes out the doll as well. Risky going Hidden Power there into the meta, but knew the doll was coming, clicked Hidden Power, rewarded for doing so. Rapid Spin does get off, but severe damage on the doll in doing so. Kerts looking far better in this game 2 than he did in game 1. And this really, if anything, this makes my point that I've been saying forever about Kerts. You know, as defended and beloved as he is a perfect example, night and day. When he plays the two teams, the two archetypes that he's comfortable with, he's good. We all know he's very good. When he plays anything else, you get what we saw in game 1. It's a mess. It's a nightmare. It was unclose. He looks out of his element, and it's a beating. So that's kind of where we are. It's really two different versions of Kerts. It's the Kerts who plays one of his two go-to archetypes, and then the Kerts that plays anything else. Certainly Kerts on one of his comfy archetypes, the Spike Stack squad here. Usually it's Jolt, but it could be Zapdos, whatever, fine. Same archetype. This Kerts looks great and is going to send us to a game 3. Kerts in game 1 looked like, what the fuck is this team? What are you doing? So it's going to make it interesting. We'll see if we go to game 3, which it sure looks like we're going to here, what Kerts decides to go with. Does he default to his physical offense stuff with Gyarados? Does he just play something very similar to this again? And does Umbry switch it up? Probably not. She's so dedicated to stall in this gen, which is weird because she doesn't exclusively play stall in other gens, so it's even more confusing to me. But, you know, what she does works for her. No judgment, not hating. You do what you gotta do. Yeah, I mean, we're going through the motions. There is not a lot to narrate here. It's very hard to envision Skarm and Bliss are not win conditions, and then Meta we know doesn't have agility, we know is slower than Zapdos, we know is slower than Gengar. It's very hard to envision Umbry coming back here. She's going through the motion, she's not conceding, that's her prerogative, but this one, about as unclose as the first one, but in the reverse. Umbry smacking Kerts around in the first game, and this one a one-sided affair with Kerts smacking Umbry around in this game. Two unclose ones so far. Look at this ugliness. 22 turns, can't deal with Flygon team. And this one took a little longer, but this is just a 6-0 without even revealing a Mon for Kerts. Absolute beatdown. I don't know why people told me this series is good. Hasn't been anything good so far. Two one-sided games. Maybe game 3 that I now know exists is the one. Maybe game 3 is the way that we get there, and it's the closest, coolest game ever. But I doubt it. All right, game 3. Who starts up in the upper bracket? Who starts up down below? This game shall determine that answer. One more time, Kerts on the bottom, Umbry on the top, Zapdos and Kuhn respectively. To the surprise of nobody, there's a Blissey. Umbry's running stall. Color me surprised. Toxic and Ice Beam, respectively, are the threatening moves. And there's a T-Bolt, but who cares? Here's Doll, just in case there's another T-Bolt. And there is, like I said, Umbry's running stall. Shock, shock. Toxic Boom, respectively. So that's a bit of a head-scratcher for me. I'm not too excited about that. If Kerts has a spiker in the back, which he very well may, Umbry just saying, I don't need spin. I don't know. Kerts is a very Skarmory heavy player. He runs them on like his weird ride-on squads, or sometimes even on his Gyarados squads, and obviously on all his variants of Spike Stack, he runs it there as well. I don't know that I like that boom. If it turns out that Kerts doesn't have spikes, then it's fine. Then trading Claydol for Zapdos is good, but if Kerts has a Skarm in the back, and it's certainly based on what he's shown so far, looks like he still could, that's a questionable boom for Umbry. I think she may end up playing the rest of the game against spikes, where at least 3 of her 5, maybe even 4, depending on the last, are vulnerable to it. I don't know if I like the boom. I really don't, but we'll see how it plays out. Kerts has yet to show half his team. We don't know if he's got a spiker in the back or not. There's Bell. Sure, why not? Substitute from Rachi, which blocks Leech Seed. Big play for Umbry. Kerts presumably has a phaser somewhere, such as that. And there's CM. This is actually kind of looking more like a Magdoll for Kerts, rather than a team that's actually going to have its own spikes. And yeah, it is the obvious Dugtrio in the back for Umbry, so if Kerts had a spiker on the back, which I think now he probably doesn't, but if he does, if he did, Umbry would be playing the rest of the game with 4 of the 5 pokes vulnerable to spikes against, really, he can't stop it. If there were a Skarm in the back, Umbry would not be able to stop that, and it would be basically 3 layers guaranteed. I don't know, I really question the boom from Umbry. I think she's a great player. I just, that one decision, I don't know. We'll see if it ends up mattering. Staying focused on this game, it looks like they've both opted for, we might be Sandless here, by the way. It might be Magdoll for Kerts, and against a team that we know is Sandless from Umbry. So we're looking at like 2 fatter teams. Umbry's is like proper stall, whereas Kerts is kind of like more of a balance, but man, we might be in for a grind here, for sure. If the last poke isn't Tower for Kerts, which it could be, but I'm not sure. So if it's 2 Sandless fat teams, this one might take a while. This might be by far the longest game. We saw 22 turns on the first one, and then 45 or 44, whatever it was on the second one. This one is basically inevitably, if we're saying it's going to be over in the next 15 turns, let me express my skepticism that will be the case. Kuhn on Kuhn, there's Roar. And Rachi, sure. Roar again. Oh yeah, that's not a last poke tower, that is a Dougie. Huh. Okay, well, even though it's going to work out for her, I I don't like the boom from Umbry. I'm not going to keep harping on that throughout the game, but I think that play was really loose, and had there been Scarb in the back for Kerts, I think that really could have gone badly, so I think that was just not a good play. It's going to work out, but I still don't think it was a good play. And then on the flip side of this, I look at Kerts' team, and I don't know. It just seems... It just feels too passive. It just feels too do-nothing. I don't know. I just don't know what the win condition is here. It's defensive B. It's heel bell B with no spikes. So like this thing can like never even close to win. Doll's not a win con. Dugtrio's not a win con. I mean, Zapdos certainly isn't a win con, but it adds like more than 0 offensive presence, I guess. Yeah, just like Kun and Rachi, and it looks like a defensive Rachi as well. It's only shown Fire Punch and Wish, so I don't know the full spread, but I mean, if it's something along the lines of Fire Punch, Wish, Protect, and then whatever attack, Body Slam, Toxic, HP Fighting, whatever, that's obviously a defensive supportive set as well, and not a win condition. So, like, I don't know. The only thing that can win is Kun, which doesn't even have, like, Magneton support to get through Scarm, or can just get roared out by like any phaser. I don't know. This just feels too do-nothing for Kerts. This also feels between the Celebi and the Kun like a team that really wants Magneton, which would have been good here because Umbry has Scarm. Granted, it would have gotten Dugtrio'd, but I don't know. I don't think I like the team for Kerts. I don't think I like the boom for Umbry, even though it's going to work out, and I don't think I like the team as a whole from Kerts, but here we are. 50-plus turns into what is a slow, grindy match, but I don't know. Umbry feels pretty ahead here. It's hard to... How does Kerts win? His only win condition to begin with is this Kun, and just like, how does that break anything sturdy? You're asking the Kun to break another Kun and a Bliss with no sand. And you're not even Rest Talk Kun. So, I mean, even if you get like 3 Combines off or whatever, Blissey will force you to sleep at some point. Phaser will come in, and you'll be out of there. I guess Last Poke Kun has like a vague chance to win for Kerts. I don't even know if that gets there. It could easily get PP stalled out by the other Kun or the Bliss. There's also the Dugtrio follow-up in the back. I think Kerts' team is bad. I mean, I hate using words like that. Just bad as opposed to, something more polite. Oh, I don't like it. It's not my style. It might be a little too this, a little too that. No, I think it's bad. It's just way too passive. It's way too do-nothing. It just doesn't have reliable enough ways to win. I think not only is the team itself bad, but I think it's bad into Umbry because... where this team might be good, and I guess I'm supposed to make nurse moment noises there, but I'm in the middle of a rant, so I'm not gonna do it, but that does count as a nurse moment for purposes of the survey. So that's the second nurse moment so far. Ooh ah, dark figure, Blissey's face. Ah, there you go. But anyway, I think the team is not good for Kerts in general, and I think it's a bad call into Umbry in particular, because she's going to bring Fat. I mean, what she did bring, Scarm Bliss, Fat Water, X, Doll, Scarm Bliss, Fat Water, that's about as standard and predictable Umbry as you get. That's what she always brings. And that's like a matchup that you don't, it just seems so bad. You can't break it. How does Kerts, well, now Celebi's dead because it switched out there. All right, Kerts is going to Last Poke Kun. It's his only hope. I don't think it's going to work, but here we are. Only shot as he gets there with Last Poke Kun. And that's what we're doing. So he's going to come in on 3 layers of spikes, asleep, and having killed no sleep turns. Blissey is dead, however. And then, of course, Kerts does have his own Kun, which also has Roar. We're going to go for the aggressive approach and just try to thunder it down. PP and accuracy are both factors here. But the Thunder's a real threat. It won't kill here without a crit, but it's still a pretty big threat. Para, full para, no, roar. Okay, well, that saves us a lot of time in what would have been a drawn-out late game. Alright, the result is 2-1 Umbry, which I predicted Umbry to win, by the way, even though you guys did not. I don't think this series was that great. I think people lied to me, but my overall roundup here, Kerts' team was bad, and I don't know what the fuck this was. Kerts played really well and looked super at home with one of the two archetypes that he does play very well and is comfortable with, and beat Umbry pretty bad. Probably should have stuck with something like this. And then, for the second out of 3 games, Kerts' team was bad. You guys can give me shit all you want and tell me that Kerts is the greatest player ever, all that you want. If anything, I feel like this series ultra mega validates my opinion and what my criticism has always been of Kerts. I'm not saying that he doesn't play well sometimes, or that with some archetypes he doesn't play really well. With this archetype, he's great. Kerts is one of the best spike stacks players in the world. However, major asterisk, this is not ladder, it's a tournament. Yeah, there's a reason Kerts is 1700 plus ladder, because you could spam the same team, the same kind of team like this over and over again, and that works on ladder. That's fine. Kerts is a great, great, great ladder player. How fucking ever. This is a tournament. You have to be more versatile than that. You can't just play one or two kinds of teams. And in fact, when he played something other than the one or two archetypes that he's very comfortable with, he looked super out of his element, his teams looked bad, and he got donked. That's what I've been saying all along about Kerts. I don't hate the guy, I don't disrespect the guy, I just think he's too damn narrow and can't play other kinds of teams nearly as well as he plays his go-to teams. And it's like fucking impossible to argue with me about that in this particular instance. This series super highlights my criticisms of Kerts. So, take me to task in the comments section, but I got a big smug grin right now. I feel pretty smart. I feel like I'm right. Let me know. Umbry's going to be in the upper bracket, Kerts in the lower bracket. Lots more CI6 round 1 action to come, one of which is going to be from me. That'll be M-Dragon's Soulwind that I hopefully catch live in a little bit. In the meantime, hit the thumbs up button, and I will see you guys in the next battle.